So that's for Mr. Gerald. Let's grab you a bag, Gerald. Mister, how did all this start? Well, I started up a side channel to open up Pokemon cards just because I loved Pokemon cards. That's how it started. So a real long time ago, I was a guy who ran a YouTube channel called TheCardconomist, and I played video games every day for a living. And it was a very successful channel. It's got 130,000 subscribers. The live streams would regularly have between 400 and 600 viewers every day. And every day I would go live. I'd get ad revenue from the live stream. I'd get donations. And then I would edit and post one video, and that could make like $200 just that video from ad revenue. So I was doing quite well already on the other channel. And I had reached a point in life where I was like, I need to start investing my income. And so I was learning how to invest in things you don't normally invest in, like gold and silver, Bitcoin, and Pokemon cards. So I was learning all about that kind of stuff back then. And around the same time, Mary Kay had me open up some Pokemon cards. So I was already kind of researching cards, and she had me open some. And then I got to a point where I learned about graded cards. I'd already been learning about investing in baseball cards. And I'm like, damn, I could just buy graded Pokemon cards. That's kind of how it all started. And I said, I'll start a little side channel to show off what I buy. And I was already a big fan of Pokemon cards because when I was a kid, Pokemon cards were a huge part of my childhood. I had an enormous collection, and I started collecting with the base set, but really I started collecting with Team Rocket. That was where I spent most of my money as a kid. And I worked for my dad, so that's how I had money. And then by the time Neo Destiny comes out, most of my friends stopped collecting. And I continue to collect, but not too much. I pick up a shiny Kabutops by trading with one of my friends, and around that, I still remember what I wanted. Back then, I wanted to collect a shining Tyranitar from Neo Destiny, and I never did. And that was the last thing I remember about collecting cards. So yeah, I did an enormous amount of card collecting back then, really a ton of it. I was always working for my dad. He ran a home business, and so I learned a lot from him, like how to operate a home business. And then I took all the money I had from my dad and I spent it on Pokemon cards. I didn't spend it on pretty much anything else other than saving. I would constantly save money. I was like a hoarder of money, and I loved Pokemon cards too. So here I am as an adult, and I was working on my other channel, but I started, I would live stream myself opening cards, and people would be like, well, let me open some cards. And that's kind of how all this started. By the way, I have something to show you guys. Give me a second. I have something fun to show you. So I was telling you guys how when I was younger, I had a shining Kabutops, and how I always wanted a shining Tyranitar, but I never got one. So I am finally done with my shining collection. Are you ready? So here's shining Charizard. Shining Noctowl. I posted a video and somebody pointed out I had the unlimited shining Noctowl, and then I looked it up. I'm like, oh, holy shit. So that day I just went and bought the first edition one. I'm like, well, I got to get it done. So there it is, Shining Noctowl first edition. Remember what I said about Shining Tyranitar? I got 2 of them, first edition, both PSA 10s. So as an adult, you got money, you can just go buy what you want. So there's the Shining Tyranitars. Real happy with that to finally own them. I never owned the Shining Mewtwo. He wasn't a big priority for me. I just need him for the set. Here's that Shining Kabutops. It's the same card I had as a kid. One of my favorite cards that I had. I liked him because back then, the whole triple rare thing, see that's 3 stars. That was like a new idea by Pokemon. It blew my mind. Also, the idea that this is shining. And also, this is like etched in here, right? So that's like an etched card. All of that was like brand new back then, and it blew my mind. I was like, damn, that's so cool. There's the Shining Raichu. Shining Steelix. And Shining Celebi. So there it is. That's the complete Shining collection for Neo Destiny. I don't really know what this is all worth together, but I wouldn't be surprised if this was like 30 to 40,000, especially if you're counting both Tyranitars. I mean, these were pretty pricey. This one's like 15,000. This is probably like 5. These are probably like 4 each. This is probably like 4. This is probably like 1.5. This is probably like 2.5. This one's probably about 2. This one's probably about 1.3. So you're looking at I mean, there's some homes that cost $60,000 where I live. You could buy a home for like $60,000. This is almost the price of an entire home paid. Pretty wild, huh? Just in a little scoop in your hand. So wild. So I'm really happy to have all this. It makes me very happy. And it's kind of like saving up your money. That's how I view it. So I told you when I was a kid, I liked to save all my money. Well, I just kind of view this as putting my money into something, and one day I can try to extract that money back out. Maybe like an auction on eBay or in some other way. Yep. So I'll go put this back. I'll put it on the windowsill for now. Very, very proud of that. And by the way, when I started working on that, prices for the cards were very different back then. So I started collecting this a while ago. I got this Shining Charizard for $5,000. Yep, $5,000. And the last I checked, he was $17,000. So he was cheaper back then. He was actually cheaper. And another interesting thing, I also collected these guys. And this guy, much earlier. This was before the Logan Paul craze. So look at the Shining Kabutops. Just $595 or $94. It says here 2.5 thousand in January. That was before the big drop. And then Shining Tyranitar. Oh, it looks like I didn't even write it down on these cards. So I got my very first Shining Tyranitar from Dave and Adams, and I like haggled with them, and they sold it to me for like $800. And I bought the next one for a straight $1,000. So, and now these cards go for like $4,000. It's really cool. Where's Magikarp and Gyarados? Oh, funny you should mention that. I don't have the Magikarp. I don't know if I ever will. But I do have the Gyarados. He's sitting in a box. Okay, so the Gyarados, I think he's like... Did he sell for like $15,000 recently? I don't remember. I could get the Magikarp if I really wanted him, but I don't really feel like it's a rush to get the Magikarp, so I don't worry about it. The Gyarados is the one you want. He is hard to get. So the last Gyarados... Look at this. Sold for $13,000 in auction in July. I got mine a long time ago for $1,300. So that's pretty good. That's pretty good. That's like a times 10 increase in value. So I got mine for $1,300. It was from a guy in like Germany or something like that. Mister just flexed so hard. Well, remember, what I was trying to point out was back when I bought those cards, they were a lot cheaper. So like the Gyarados, again, he was like $1,300 back then. Ooh, Lucario Melmetal. Sweet. That was my point. Back in the day, the cards, even though they were expensive, they were like not that expensive. Hard to describe. Pack number 2. What do we got here? We've got Wishy-Washy. Brr. Look at that face. He's a beta.